summertime here in Payne County of Mocha.
High school and elementary school kids are still in school.
Well, I don't really care. College students, out. Me, on some low-key vacation.
On a little vacay. Make your vocation your vacation.
Yeah,
You'll never work a day in your life, they say.
Yeah, so welcome to summer, all you listeners out there, to this amazing, brilliant priest, pastor of Payne podcast here in Stillwater, God's country, USA. Yay!
Welcome, everybody.
Wow.
It's good to have you.
So, Father O'Brien, we've talked about the moves of priests coming up.
We did. Their priests are moving.
Yes.
Neither of us. The
sort of shaking that's
We're
going on.
We're good to go, but our seminarians will soon arrive. Kyle Dowd.
When are they arriving?
March 25th.
March 25th?
May 25th.
Oh, who?
May 25th.
Both of them?
Kyle Dowd, who will be here in Stillwater with us for the entire year.
Yeah, Rain Kane, Kyle Dowd.
And then Marcus Lyons will be with us for 2 months, for June and July.
When does he get here in June?
He gets here May 25th.
Oh, they're both here May 25th. Okay, yeah. I'll let those 5 other priests know that they can't come and spend the night.
Plus, we have Father Mauricio Carrasco coming the 29th through the 31st.
For what?
Of May.
Oh.
For my Spanish parish mission.
Okay.
You got to check the kitchen calendar.
I know.
It will save you.
Wow. That's a full house.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hot diggity dog.
Good times at the St. Joseph Priest Residence.
Wow. I'll tell Daniel Albrecht he's evicted then. All seminarians. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he can hang out with us, but
he's got no room at the inn.
There, you can't stay there.
This is when we built this house. This was the plan, is to have lots of seminarians. I just didn't know it would happen this quickly. I know.
Yikes.
Well, there's a lot of stuff happening in Payne County, a lot of stuff happening in our priest world. I would also say a lot of stuff is happening in our culture.
In the political world. And
we live in the heartbeat of America.
The spiritual world.
The heartbeat. We live in the heartbeat of America where everything's beautiful and normal. And then...
I think it depends who you ask.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Is Oklahoma normal?
Well, we have that heartbeat law now. Isn't that?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. That's not normal?
No, that's above
rare.
Normal. Extraordinarily normal. Maybe that's where we should dive into this podcast.
All right.
Because I already mentioned the heartbeat of America, not Chevrolet, but the heartbeat of America, which is human life.
Yeah.
Human life.
So, if you follow the news, I don't know when it was now. I lose track of time. But last week, 2 weeks ago.
Three?
Really unprecedented. I try to be kind of a student of politics. There's not obviously as much time as there used to be for that. But I try to stay up on current events. And I have never heard of like a Supreme Court decision like getting leaked.
Oh, well, it's not a decision yet. It hasn't
no, but like what has occurred here in the last couple weeks, and by all account, people who follow things much closer than I, have said the same thing. Like it's really unprecedented, and I think it goes to. I mean, this is a separate topic, but like the just general respect for leadership and institutions is like down. I don't know if it's the lowest it's ever been. In American politics, like the Vietnam War was one of those where like people felt they got lied to. Right. Watergate. Oh yeah. Any kind of political scandal. And then then it's even happened in the church. Much of our own doing. That people don't or either trust less or don't trust the Pope or the bishops hierarchy. Or priests or, just leadership in general.
I agree. I mean, yeah.
And so it's, so much of it, I mean, it's in politics, that the idea that like, the president, he'll handle it no matter who the president is, or, I know there's this really serious problem, but who's going to solve it? Our elected officials.
Oh, so you were going to say Ghostbusters.
And you're just like, I think nowadays the people who would say, I don't need to worry about that because I have complete and total trust in the elected officials that we have put into office at local, state, and national government.
Says very few people.
You know who's going to fix that? The United Nations. They're just going to get right in there, and there's going to be peace in the world. Well, no. I mean, people generally have a distrust. I think COVID messed it up, made it even, kind of exacerbated it.
Yeah.
People kind of feeling like, well, no one's telling us the truth, or what are we supposed to do? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? So it's a serious thing. And I think this is like one more step of like, even the Supreme Court, which kind of had a little bit of an air of majesty and not affected by politics, lifetime appointments. And now stuff gets leaked, and and that's just like every other corrupt, institution. That's what some people would say. So it's pretty messed up. So then what has happened in the last couple of weeks is just a debate, some healthy, mostly not, just on the topics of when does life begin? What are appropriate laws that govern, some would say like women's reproductive health. Others would say, the unborn, you kind of various euphemisms that people use, pro-life, pro-choice, anti-choice, pro-death, and it gets more extreme as you go out, but it's the real deal. It's come a little bit to the doorstep of the church. And I think kind of this sounds weird, but like in a good way. I mean, a lot of people associate the pro-life position of, defending and wanting legal protection for an unborn child. A lot of people associate that with the Catholic Church.
Yay, victory.
And so for that, we can say, and they should. Now, there's kind of politicians that give a mixed signal on that, or, kind of go totally the other way. That's a whole deal that is very messy.
We don't have time for.
Or another show for another day. But anyway, so now there are, there's kind of a threat of some violence. There's been some vandalism in and around Catholic churches, masses, mostly in big cities and cathedrals, and where mass has been disrupted and by kind of pro-choice, whatever they may be, activists. So I'm going to say this in my homily this weekend, and that is like it's coming to our door. There's not. It's time to take I guess the time for neutrality is
over. Is expired?
Is over. Because really, what do we believe? We believe that, and science backs it up. That life begins at conception, and if that's true, then that's in the womb is a unrepeatable, unique human being that we would say deserves the protection of law. The hard part is that in our country, that has not been the case for 50 plus 49 years.
Yeah.
And so the law is a teacher. The law is a teacher. I heard on the Pillar. Do you listen to the Pillar podcast?
I don't.
What?
I like the Pillar podcast, and I listen to their
They do a great job.
First 6 episodes.
He said this: society will get used to almost anything if it's the law.
Society will get used to almost anything if it's the law. Okay.
And I think that's true. I think we have a rationale of like, well, it's legal. Look at, a less serious example, but like pot. When we were in high school, the idea,
say no to drugs. This is your brain on drugs.
Like there would be a marijuana shop, like in public. You could get it, if you knew the right people around school. But the idea that in Stillwater there'd be whatever there are, because it's now legalized, and so now it comes.
And what was his quote?
The quote was, talk amongst yourselves. The quote was, society will get used to almost anything if it's the law. And I think that's true. And so our generation, you and I were born after Roe versus Wade.
Right. But is that the case that we got used to it? because it's the law.
We totally get used to it.
Well, no, I mean, because there's still, I think that's one of the, when I was reading sort of the briefs on this that were leaked, it looks like the debate is this was supposed to be put into place as an agreement between two sides, so to alleviate a problem that was in our culture. And because the debate is still going on, that means that somehow this law is needs to be revisited.
Well, because I mean, different states have, Roe versus Wade was a Texas law. Jane Roe, who later Norma McCorvey later became a Catholic and died a Catholic. She, and by the way, the baby. Do you know the baby in Roe versus Wade was born?
What?
That Jane Roe, Norma McCorvey. The case. Anyway, yeah. the baby was.
Who's the baby? Who's the kid?
I don't know. But anyway, side note. Interesting side note. The Texas case that led to Roe versus Wade. So states are passing laws all the time, and they most of the time get knocked down as unconstitutional because what Roe versus Wade put in place was basically a right to privacy. And constitutional scholars would say there's no such thing as a right to privacy in the Constitution. And people say, well, what about illegal search and seizure? Like, that's a right to privacy. But how far does that extend? Does that extend to, what some people say, sort of the bodily autonomy of the woman, who she should be able to do whatever she wants with her own body. The other argument, of course, is then, well, when there's a baby inside of your body, then that's two bodies. So anyway, it gets very heated. It gets very complicated.
It's a good way to talk about it. There's two bodies.
There's two bodies. Yeah, totally.
Oh, okay. Well, this document being presented, being leaked, has caused a hot storm around the country.
A hot mess.
But we also want love them both. I think is what the the Ireland law. It was an 8. And it says, love them both. And the O's were lined up. It was beautiful. Love them both. But also, and the understanding of the protection of human life. I mean, is it, I guess that is that question that's always thrown out there. Oh, you're just concerned about babies and no one else.
Yeah, I've always found that to be very...
trite? Is that the word?
Yeah, flippant? I mean, there's some merit to it. That like so-called pro-life people, and it usually sort of stems from like Republicans, like you're all about like babies being born, but then, Republicans typically vote against any kind of legislation that would enact like government programs to help a baby or a single mom or a poor family to now raise the child.
And the argument would be those are not the same.
Oh, and they're not the same. And they're not the same. But I would also say, I mean, in the Catholic tradition and Catholic social teaching, we're very much in favor. I mean, obviously we're against abortion, but we're also in favor of a pretty vigorous like social safety net.
Yeah.
And so, that we've talked about this before, that we're not Catholics are not Democrats and Catholics are not Republicans. No, there are Catholics that identify as both, but the Catholic Church is not. We're not.
Doesn't pick a political side.
Right. We don't endorse candidates. We don't. We endorse certain positions, and I think we've not really found, to my knowledge, sort of the perfect Catholic candidate. There's a little group I follow on the Twitter. They're called, what is it? It's called Pro-Life, Whole Life.
Oh,
is that what they're called?
That's and
let me look it up.
They're on Twitter.
Everyone.
Follow a lot of people.
Everyone's on Twitter.
I don't think I have time for that.
I ain't got
time for that.
The Twitters is there's a lot going on there. What is it called? Pro-Life. Where'd it go?
Pro-Life what?
I think it's called Pro-Life, Whole Life.
Oh.
Pro-life, whole life. Maybe.
And they're not connected with the church anywhere, or are they connected with, like, is it just an independent organization, 501c3?
Maybe it's just kind of a phrasing that people use.
Yeah.
Anyway, but just that idea is that we ought to be, I mean, to say like, I just want babies to be born and then I don't care. Like that would not be the Christian, the Christian way. So, I think the hard part is, I mean, let's say, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but let's say, Roe versus Wade is overturned. Mm-hmm. In addition to, I think there's going to be some violence. There'll be protests. Some will be peaceful, others not. I think there could be some persecution coming at the church, at Christians, at believers, at, even, I mean, there are, I don't know if I gave a talk, or I heard a talk one time about, the guy was talking about all the different kinds of people that are pro-life. And he said there's a group called Atheists for Life. Huh? And their argument is, this is the only life we get. Like, we got to protect it. This is it.
That's their argument.
And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. Jump on board, That like abortion is not going to go away. If Roe versus Wade is overturned in June,
some state,
abortion does not go away. I mean, the demand is there. And so, as people who care about moms and babies, love, as you said, love them both. We still have, I mean, the responsibility is still there. The legal sort of fight, the legal battle is one piece of it. And the Catholic Church would say, sort of loud and proud, that it ought to be illegal.
Yeah.
The law is a teacher. When the law says don't steal, that's a message to everybody that stealing is bad. If it was suddenly okay to steal, I still don't think I would steal, but I think but some people would, because they would say, well, there's no consequences for it. Let's do it. It's legal now, so it must be okay. So the law is a teacher. So we have the legal side, but then we have kind of the people side, that we have to be out in front, helping people, the charitable works of the church and of the people of God. They have to be there. So I would say this, so if an OSU student comes to you and says, Father, my girlfriend is pregnant, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna help them out.
How so? What? Give people some advice.
Okay,
you're having teenage kids.
So
and they come to you and
this happened since I've been a priest, where a student called me and said, "Hey, can I meet with you with my boyfriend? We need to chat about something very serious." And they were pregnant.
Like, you're getting married. No,
they were pregnant.
Yeah,
and so I sat down with them the first time, and I said, "Okay, so who knows?" And they said, "Us two and you."
Oh,
and I looked at them both, and I said, "Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you need to get married right now, no matter what your family says."
That's a misnomer about. Yeah.
So first right off the bat,
shotgun wedding.
First right off the bat, I just thank them for being kind, like bringing this information to me, and let's be kind to each other with this. Like, we're going to run through some ideas of what to do. And so that's what I did with one couple who, is that two couples I've had that are pregnant? The first one never got married. I think the second one did. And when we talked about, like, okay, so when are you going to talk to your parents? They sort of danced around it. I was like, well, let's set up a time to speak with your parents. And if you want me there, I'll be there.
Oh, did you go?
So on one occasion, I talked to the girl right before she told her parents. And on the second occasion, was I?
You went? You went with them?
Was I there?
I don't know.
No.
I was not there.
I was. I don't think I was either there or both of them. But I talked to the parents ahead of time, and the parents called me back and said, "Thank you for like making this easy on all of us."
Yeah.
And so it was a beautiful conversation. Then I offered to let's figure out what we're going to do with your medical stuff. I never bring up like, hey, this is an option for let's talk about abortion. Never is that conversation ever brought up. No. It's always, this is the path we're going to go. Let's go down this road.
I'd bring it up if they were saying like, we have no idea what to do. I mean, I would say, okay, well, let's take something off the table. Right now.
That's insightful.
That obviously abortion is legal. There are, abortion clinics in Oklahoma, let's take that off because we're going to help you. We're going to, we're going to walk with you. So I love, here in Stillwater, helping the people of Payne County is a wonderful organization called Birthright of Stillwater.
Oh, it's up by
kind of between OSU and the high school
on North of McElroy.
Yep. Beautiful organization run by, kind of led by, generally by mostly by Catholics. And they do two things, so it's the same kind of thing. It's not just like we're going to help you through your pregnancy and then we're going to ditch you. They do a ton with young moms and young dads to help them, whether it's diapers or formula. There's a shortage of formula right now. If you didn't know that, did you know that?
I did. I heard about that.
Yeah, all over. People driving hours and I didn't know that
we used a lot of formula.
Oh, a lot of people do. Yeah. So anyway, that's one local resource that we ought to really be supporting because they are very much on the front lines. Right here in our own community, so I know there's, Catholic Charities in Oklahoma City, certainly Catholic Charities in Tulsa, that we know well. There's a group in Tulsa called Go Life Medical. So they have this I don't know, it's like a converted RV.
Yeah.
Sort of. Right. And they drive around town and they park in a Walmart parking lot and they give free ultrasounds and then, and then help. Okay. Wow. Okay. You're pregnant. Let's let us help you.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a legal side to it. I mean, I would say very clearly, like Roe Must Go, as they say.
Roe must go.
Yeah. But that's also not then going to take away the demand. And then even like in Oklahoma, there's a lot of more so maybe kind of Oklahoma, Texas, Mississippi, probably kind of law wise are kind of the three strongest pro-life laws in that regard, with regard to abortion. But people are still going to get pregnant, and be in crisis and not know what to do. And so it's going to get a lot harder, but they still need help. They need a lot of help. And so there's the legal side, and that's, a realm of certain people. But the charitable side is never going to end. Jesus says, the poor you will always have with you. And he was right. He's always right.
He's always.
So we still have a lot to do. So it's not, I think there can be perhaps a very short celebration and then back to work, help, being of help to people. So we had recently in the parish, we had a young couple, they're from another country. They found out they were pregnant, and don't know what to do. They don't really know how to navigate the American health care system, much less the Stillwater healthcare system. So what was so cool is, they took a pregnancy test. They took several, just to make sure. And then they called me to share the news. It was sort of a two-pronged phone call. Hey, we're pregnant. Wow, amazing. And oh crud, we have no idea what to do next. We know where you need to go see, a doctor, and so what do we do? And so we hook them up with we have a parish nurse who's part-time. She's a nurse at Stillwater Medical Center and helped us out a ton during COVID to get through it all, but then helps kind of navigate the world, has helped us with the Afghan refugees. Brandy Bishop is our parish nurse. Yep. So she works, it's kind of 20, 30 hours a month.
Well, it's not a lot.
Doing different things, programs, grief counseling, and she has a full-time job. She's helping out us on the side.
Oh, God.
But anyway, so we hooked them up and off we go. And now they have generally kind of off to a good start of what they need. So we're going to have to do a lot more of that. And it will be people that we know and people that we don't know. I think the other piece of it is going to be adoption and foster care. I think we're going to have to take a much more active role in that world. And so my bulletin in our little paper bulletin that we put out each week, I have a little paragraph of encouragement to the people. Yeah, to consider. It's something that ought to be considered.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really good organizations out there that can help mothers and fathers of and the baby when this family is in crisis pregnancy.
Yep.
I think there's lots of good material out there because there is the worry about who you're going to talk to, how you're going to pay for this kid, what are you going to do for employment now? Because,
finances is a big piece of it.
Yeah, and with the sort of breakup of the family in the United States being so big, I mean, you could be on the other side of the country, and
people are further away from their own families. Yeah. They might be in a different country. Yeah, it's hard, and so that's where the rubber meets the road, as they say. Like where it's going to be difficult. I mean, that's hard.
Yeah,
it's I think a lot of times charitably, I've done this. Where like. Yeah, I would. You'd rather give. I would rather just give $100 to Catholic Charities than have to spend a whole day with a homeless person helping them to get a driver's license. Like, it's way harder. But this is where with Pope Francis's idea of like accompaniment, like it's where saints are made in the accompaniment, in the relationship. Even when it's uncomfortable, or even when it's awkward, or even when there are differences, when it's hard.
Yes,
that's where some of the great. Mother Teresa, jumps out. Damien of Molokai, my main man.
Feast day was last week,
May 10th. Feast of Damien of Molokai. Pray for us. That's where saints are made, and so I think it's going to be incumbent on all of us to step up our game. Yeah,
and there's lots of resources in the church who are volunteering, stepping up their game. There's some OBGYN docs in Tulsa that I remember calling, had a kid, wasn't even Catholic, at TU, who called and was like, I'm pregnant. And so I was like, okay, I know an OBGYN doc that'll take a look at you for free.
Let's go.
Yeah. And students didn't want to apply it on their insurance because they don't want their parents to find out. And there's beautiful, rich opportunities that take place.
I think it's also important for parents, to kind of think to yourself, what if my teenager boy or girl came home and said, hey, Mom, I'm pregnant, or Mom, my girlfriend's pregnant. What's your response to that? Are you going to just go off? I can't believe and that's where a lot of people who have abortions, there's a pressure from family and friends, from the boyfriend, from, to like, this can't mess up our lives, and so you got to go do this.
Yes.
But when there is a supportive family, a supportive church, you can help. You can help.
There was a beautiful conversation. I can't remember what the dad said when I was talking to him, and he said, my kid was the young man and
the father
and the father of the child. He goes, my daughter, she told me she was pregnant, and it was beautiful because I taught them everything about human life.
Oh, good.
Like, I taught them about not using contraceptives. I taught them about the dignity of the other person. Yes, were hormones fired up and they had sex, and so now my grandchild is born? Yes. And it's also beautiful.
And it is, yeah. There's no mistakes. God doesn't make mistakes. As Pope Benedict said, God writes straight with crooked lines. That we think, my gosh, my life is going to be totally off track. And I think it's just, there's a trust that's required of those families and those young people. So anyway, we just want to be of great encouragement, but I would just encourage you to pray and fast, and then be ready. Be ready to help. Be ready to help young moms. Be ready to step up and volunteer. Be ready to donate. Be ready in a whole bunch of different ways. Because even if Roe versus Wade is overturned, it's going to go back to each individual state. So now there's going to be 50, as there kind of is now, but it'll be bigger. There's going to be 50 states, battling within their state legislatures and governors. And so it's really just beginning legally, prayerfully, and charitably.
Whoa. I like those three.
Pro-life. Yeah. Whoa.
Wow. Okay. Well, Father Brian O'Brien and Father Kerry Wakulich here, signing off from Pete FM today. Keep us in your prayers, and
happy summer.
Go pro-life.
Peace.
Hey, that's my line.
Oh my gosh, please put that in.